Greetings. Before I get into my main topic, I just want to mention that I have a new webcam and I also have a new monitor. I've gone from a 22-inch monitor to a 32-inch monitor, and I went to an upgrade on the camera, although I can't necessarily tell if I've got an upgrade. But in essence, I now have to look higher in order to look like I'm looking straight ahead. But I'm going to be using some statistics in this particular video, so if I happen to be looking down or it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I'm not. I just thought I'd get that out of the way. So this is Black History Month. It's the last week of Black History Month, and I haven't really talked much about it. I haven't written much about it, but that's what this post is. Not specifically Black History Month, but the topic of race. And how come I keep seeing on LinkedIn, mostly on LinkedIn, people who feel compelled to ask, why do we have to talk about race so much? And I'm going to tell you why we have to, but I'm going to use me as an example first. You know, this past year, 2020, maybe early in 2021, I have talked about or written about race more often than I have over the course of years. Not that I haven't talked about it before, or written about it before, but I've been a little bit more engaged in writing about it and talking about it. Why? Because things really started to escalate in 2020. We just have to own up to the fact that Black Lives Matter became a very big deal across the country. It polarized a lot of the country, and it shouldn't have. And that's a problem that it polarized it, because the people who are against Black Lives Matter or BLM or whatever are talking about, why are you talking about race all the time? Y'all are the reason that we do it, because obviously you're not listening. If you're going to diversity training and you're asking this question, you haven't learned a thing. You probably don't know much about black people. I know some of you are going to say, I have a black friend. Whoop-dee-doo. That you don't get credit for having a black friend. You have credit for understanding the different kinds of things we go through, or that Hispanics, Latinos, whomever else goes through. A lot of us go through a lot of difficulties. But do we talk about it all the time? Let's take a look at that. So on Monday, because I'm putting this out on Tuesday, and then I'm writing about it on Wednesday. I've already written an article. It's the 16th anniversary of my business blog. And I'm pretty happy with that, because most people don't last even 2 years of blogging, and I'm at 16. So that's kudos. However, let's look at some numbers. On my business blog, I've written 1,430 articles. I've written 185 of them about diversity topics. So that's basically 13%, which is the population of black people in America. And it hasn't only been about black people. It's talked about women's rights. It's talked about disability rights. So I'm covering a whole gamut of things here. But as we regard race, because I'm including this in here, 13%. On my other blog, my other main blog, where I mainly talk about, blogging, writing, social media, I've got 1,848 articles on that one. And I have 40 of them that are related to race. And out of that 40, 20 of them were a series of blog posts that I did back in 2011 or 2012 that I used to call Black Web Friday, where I highlighted websites that were run by either one black person or a group of black people. Why did I do that? Because I ran into a lot of people who are doing these lists of the top 100 bloggers or the top 50 bloggers or whatever, and there was almost never a black person on it. There were Asian people on it, so I can't say that there were no minorities whatsoever, but no black people. And when I asked a couple of times, they'd say either, well, I don't know any, or, well, why is it important? Why is it important? Please, that's why it's important. So, on that particular blog, if I include the Black Web Friday articles, I've only talked about it or written about it 2% of the time. And I've had that blog for 13 years. So, all the time? I wouldn't say so. Let's talk about videos. So let's talk about this channel, which is my business channel. I have done 257 videos on this particular channel. I've talked about race 26 times. That's 10%. 10%. On my other channel, which I talk about pretty much anything I want to, but it's mainly talking about social media and writing and blogging, but I talk about anything I want to. I have addressed it 30 times out of 537 videos. That's 5.5%. Overall, including just everything, you're talking 7%. And this is since 2005. So I've addressed it 7% of the time. How come we have to talk about race all the time? We don't. But we're talking about it a lot more now. Why? Because there's just so much animosity towards black people. Folks don't want to own up to that. They say, oh, you're just being sensitive. I've been hearing the sensitive lie for 30 years, probably 40 years, if I want to be truthful. But I've been hearing that forever. You can't keep being sensitive for that long. It just doesn't happen. Things keep happening. Every week, there's a story of a black person being killed by the police for something stupid, and they never go to jail for it. Every week, there's someone who decides to go into the face of a black person or Hispanic person or Asian person and spout some kind of stupidity because the person who was in the White House before was using racial terms that everyone wants to say, well, he wasn't being racist. Yes, he was, and have been attacking them. I mean, the rate of attacks on Asian Americans has gone up 70% in the last year because he kept talking about China flu. Y'all, come on. It's there. These things happen all the time. And there are now a lot more people who are willing to talk about it, who are willing to write about it, who are willing to put their businesses on the line to bring this out, especially during Black History Month, because it needs to be talked about. Truthfully, I could talk about race or diversity half the time that I do videos on both channels. I could write about it half the time, but I don't because that's not my major focus. But what happens is that there's enough people out there who I hear saying, God, we do diversity training all the time. I'm tired of doing diversity training. To which I have sometimes asked, not all the time because I don't know all those people all that well. I say, okay, so what did you learn from it? Well, I don't know. Then you haven't done diversity training. You just went and you sat in a room and you were bored and you didn't care. They don't like that answer, but it's the truth. Because if you learned anything about diversity training, you would be better working with minorities. You would be better working with women in general. You would be better working with or hanging with people that have disabilities. You would be better. You would understand. Because one of the things I've said, I've written about it, I've done videos about it, is that minorities can't do it on themselves. Disability can't do it by themselves. Even women, even though there's more women than men, can't do it all by themselves. It takes the whole community. It takes the village. It takes the entire country, at least more than we have now, to stand up and say, yes, I'm here with you. I'm going to do my part and see how many people I can convince and how many people I can teach to be better so that this country can be better. Because you know what? The more diversity you have, the better a country is. That's my story for the day. Now, if you want to debate this, you can try, but I think it's a stupid debate. And truthfully, if I'm you, I wouldn't put my name out there to the public. I'm just saying. Of course, on YouTube, people are going to hide it anyway, but I'm going to share this on LinkedIn, and it'll be interesting to see how many people decide that they are willing to put their business profile out there. I mean, just today, for instance, we have the guy who's the CEO of the Seattle Mariners who hired a black person to be a general manager of some type and now has to resign because he said some stupid things. He didn't have to resign. He just decided to do it. That's my story. My name is Mitch Mitchell. If you like this kind of thing, please subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful day.